Good morning.
Can you start today about will you practice indoors if it starts? I mean, what's the plan, and also the COVID?
You look outside there. I think we're definitely indoors. Yeah, definitely. We're inside today. Probably have to go inside again tomorrow. But I mean, if we can get out tomorrow, we'll go outside. So hopefully, we're going to get outside Saturday based off of what I've seen in the weather report.
COVID list is same. No new players.
Nothing to report.
Will you be cautious with Zeke today? Will he practice, or what's the
We'll take him through the early part with Britt, and then we'll see how he is. He's still sore, so he's limited reps is his category.
Anybody else been limited or out?
No, just maybe watch some guys. Watch them through individual. We'll bring back. Donovan's going to go through individual today. Sean McKeon's going to go through individual today. And Kelvin is going to also go through individual today.
Kelvin Joseph?
Kelvin Joseph, yes.
We got a chance to talk to Dan Quinn on Monday, and he said one of your superpowers is that you never get too high or too low. You don't ride the wave. You kind of keep it right down the middle and stay consistent. Is that something that...
Just like my golf game.
Is it?
I don't play anymore.
Is that something that you've always been? Has it learned? And then also, why is that important?
Well, I think it's definitely needed in a position of leadership. I think it's like all of us. You learn things, not only about the game, the preparation part of it, the performance part of it, but you definitely have to learn about yourself. So I'm a big believer in listening to your own language. I think, coaching a different generation today than when I got into the league in the early 90s. I think that's part of the learning process. But yeah, I think if you want consistency, you definitely have to have consistency from the leadership positions.
When you look at your run defense through the first 5 games, what do you put most of the success there on? Is it the leads you've been part of it, some of the leads you've been able to generate, or have they just stopped it early and?
No, I just think it comes down to the way our guys are playing. I mean, if having the lead and people trying to run the ball to keep our offense off the field, that can be part of it too. But no, I just think our run defense was priority number 1 coming into the season. I think the players and coaches have done an outstanding job. We're playing it differently, than we did last year. I mean, we were more in a transition to what we want it to look like this year, and I think Dan is, hammers it each and every day, and once again, I just think our guys understand it. That's the starting point of any great defense.
As you've looked at the Patriots offense, what stood out about Mac Jones?
Well, I'll tell you, he's for a young quarterback, and you can see the command. He's definitely comfortable. And it's an offense that's game plan specific. Each week it's different. So when you look at their whole body of work from the season, you see a lot of scheme. So I think that is definitely a compliment to him as a young quarterback, that he's handled that pretty seamlessly. But he knows where to go with the ball. They're more 2-back offense in the early games than we've seen to date. So that'll be something that we're focused on. But I think he looks very comfortable in their system.
Mike, how familiar are you with some of the contents in the John Gruden emails, and do you feel like those kinds of thoughts are pervasive around the league or isolated?
I wouldn't say I have detailed thought of what was said or so forth, but I definitely am aware. I think first of all, I think it's a reminder that we all need to treat each other better. I think that's the first thing that comes to mind. I think it's a very, very disappointing situation where people are offended. A number of people also affected. But I also, as a position of leadership in this league, in society, it comes with a lot of a very high level of accountability, and and that's something that's a privilege, and I think it's something that we all recognize. So it's disappointing. It's very unfortunate.
How do you feel like workplace culture has evolved in your time in the league?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the first part.
How do you feel like workplace culture in the NFL has evolved in your time in the league?
Well, I think it's clearly there's clearly more education involved. In my time, My first year in the league was 1993, so definitely the awareness and education is there. But I think like anything, as our society, we can all treat each other better. I think that's been evident what's been going on of late, and this is a very disappointing situation that we can learn from.
What have you learned during your time in the league about the importance of choosing your language carefully to foster an inclusive environment?
Say the last part, please.
What have you learned while you've been a coach in the league about the importance of language and fostering an inclusive environment?
Well, I just think it comes down to common respect, and I think it's you have to be aware, and your thoughts and your words, they matter. So I mean, it reflects your position and what you're trying to get done, and you want, when you talk about culture and workplace, you want the positive energy and the environment to thrive, so everybody can be the best that they can be, and it's frankly comes back to my first statement. We need to treat each other better.
Talked to you quite a bit about the Friday Regeneration Program, and you mentioned soft tissue injuries related to that the other day. How much do you think soft tissue injuries are a little bit more of a risk based on the way the practice, the parameters for practice that you have, or soft tissue injuries a potentially bigger problem just based on how much time you can have on the field and that kind of thing, or no?
You talking about with reference to the CBA, or?
Yeah.
I mean, we're in non-restricted time now. You referring to training camp, or?
Kind of training camp and.
Well, I think it's like anything in our game. I mean, I think the intent of what we're trying to do from a player safety perspective is obviously in the best interest of player health and safety, and it's for the right reasons. But we all operate under the same guidelines and rules and limitations. So I think it's a lot there. There's a lot more education involved. But I think the players today, the outsourcing is, as far as their opportunity away from the organization, there's a lot of availability there. So I mean, I think all that factors into it. But in season, my experience, my personal experience is, you probably have to guard more against doing too much than not enough. I think we clearly have reached a point of conditioning where I feel really good about the conditioning level of our football team. We're going to play a football team that's very, very well conditioned. That's always been a staple of the New England teams. So you want to get to that level, and you want to maintain it, and you try to be as safe and smart as you possibly can. But you have to push the limits. You got to have guidelines. We have a process and a system where we look at the GPS every single day at 4 o'clock. It's evaluated, so we feel like we have quality information, and the feedback, mostly from the relationships with our training staff and our strength conditioning staff, is excellent. So, I mean, all those things go on, and that's our approach.
Mike, can you speak to the way that the Patriots defense is using Matthew and Judon, and if it's similar to what the Ravens did?
Oh, definitely. I think when you watch them play, particularly on defense, they do a really good job of matchups. I mean, and it's frankly what we're preparing for. They will have a distinct, pass rush plan for our offensive line, in our pass protection unit. So how he matches up this week, what we anticipate and so forth goes into that. But he's clearly, we have him as the most disruptive player in their front, without a doubt. I mean, his numbers speak for themselves. So coming over from Baltimore, so we've tapped into some Baltimore tape. But I think the biggest thing is who's he going to line up on, and they'll have a distinct plan for us. So that's what we're focused on.
On those lines, how has Steele handled himself with the pass rushes and blitzing?
He's doing a really good job. I mean, he's a very conscientious young player. I think we all recognize the jump that he made from year 1 to year 2. I love the tenacity and the strength that he's playing with this year compared to last year. So he'll be challenged this week. I mean, I'm sure they'll, with him being a young player, I think Tyler will be another player that they try to challenge. So, that's part of our preparation. So that's all the secrets I'm giving out. So we need to quit this thing.
There's always been an evolution of football, and something comes in the league, and it's the rage, and then it goes away because teams figure it out. You go from bare defense, then Tampa 2 came along, and it's okay. But in today's game, do you think the offense is a little bit ahead of where the defense is, that they are now dictating, whereas there are times where, again, go back to bare defense, they dictated how you played offense. And rule changes, how much of a factor is that?
That was going to be my answer. I think the rule changes and how you break down the eras, of where we are today. Obviously, space. The middle of the field's been opened up in today's game, so I think all those factors definitely tilt towards the offense. And I think you see some changes. Cut blocking on the perimeter. I don't see it as a huge advantage, but now that's gone away. So, I think you have to look at all those variables in this. I think the trends of how defenses are playing offenses. They're playing more sub defense, which you have to. I mean, I know the base defense went up the last 2 years, but prior to that, I mean, you were probably in 10, 11, 12% base defense a year. But now what your point we want to make is you see more base defensive schemes with sub personnel, a lot more, big nickel. Everybody has a form of big nickel. We'll see it Sunday. So I think those are part of the trends you pay attention to. But I think you're seeing a lot more creativity and aggressiveness with space concepts from the offense today's game than you saw probably 5-10 years ago.
You mentioned the middle of the field is more open. Is that because offenses are more spread out, or is some of that the hesitancy to hit guys coming across the middle?
I mean, it's difficult to play safety position with a crossing route when the ball's thrown. I mean, I think we have to acknowledge that. And I think just the fact that it's a big part of how you attack in the passing game. I've always felt that when you're building your base concepts, when you're in the off season, the fastest way to the end zone is through the post. So you got to make sure there's always points of your attack where you're attacking the middle of the field. So I think sometimes you can get lulled into a game that we're getting ready to play where you're throwing individual cuts all day, and at the end of the day, they're going to challenge us, schematically and with their man-to-man and so forth. But you got to make sure you're attacking all the quadrants of the field.
What are the advantages of that big nickel to bringing down the third safety? Is just the variance of what you can do against personnel matchups when it's just a straight nickel?
Well, I think it's starts inside. Your ability to play more even techniques. Which are better suited for runs versus odd techniques. 2 or 4 versus a shade and a 3. So you get better run defense techniques inside with your. Which you normally get the base defense to do it. So it's a better way to go to maintain matchups on the number 2 and 3 receiver in the big nickel, and still have the ability to have a stronger normal D&D run base.
How's Hooker developed?
Hooker's done well. Yeah, I thought he played his best game last week. Made a couple impact plays. He looks comfortable. I think he's feeling like he's back to where he was prior to the injury. So I thought he played with a lot of confidence this past week. I thought he graded out very well.
Did he do more in the box than maybe you anticipated before he got here?
I think really the games dictate that, and just obviously who he's playing with, and the packages that the competition to get up on Sundays is all part of that.
How difficult are the roster decisions this week? I think with Sprinkle and Ralston, you might be out of their just standard elevations and things.
Yeah, we got a couple combinations. We'll work, but we won't make any decisions till 2:59 on Saturday.
Rich will let us know.
Yeah, call Rich. He'll be on the plane sleeping. But
we've talked often about the unselfishness on the team and how the guys root for each other, especially receivers, and of course they still want the ball. Is that unique to this team? Is that something that's unique to these guys, or have you seen a team like this that's?
It's what you want. It's and definitely we're definitely very high in that area. I love that about our players. I look at it from the offensive perspective. the offensive system that I've always been around, and in fact, what we build here is, the system's built around making the quarterback successful. So, and it starts there and it stops there, and and that's the way it was with Brett and Aaron in Green Bay. So, the ball needs to be spread around, and Dak's doing a tremendous job of that. Our ball distribution is exactly what I'm looking for in the first 5 games, and we'll definitely be challenged this week because of the man-to-man that we're expecting for them to challenge us. So, and I think with that, it's a philosophical approach, and it's made clear when we started this, and Dak's leading the way, and that's part of it. But I think to the personal part of it, I think it talks about the type of men that we have. These guys want to win. Even the players that have had high individual success here in the past, it's about winning, and that's all that matters. And as long as it stays that way, I think with our continued success, we have a great chance.
Yeah, it seems like it's that way on defense. Well, the defensive line, the linebackers, certainly the safeties, they're all kind of rooting for each other.
Yeah, definitely. It's probably even more so on defense. I was just using the offense as an example. You look at the number of players that have played on defense, and the rotation that you have to have over the course of a 17+ game season. I think the rotation up front is. We have projected, play time each and every week, and we've done a good job staying to that. And I think it's definitely been a benefit for us with our front people. And you look at the safety position, different personnel groups. So, the linebacker position too. This is the most depth of a linebacker group that I've been a part of, and just trying to keep all those guys involved is, I think, it'll definitely serve us well each week, but definitely serve us a lot better in the long run.
Hunter Henry has become a reliable weapon for Mac Jones over the middle of the field the last few weeks. What does he add to their offense, and what are some of the challenges he presents?
Well, I think both the tight ends. I think any time, particularly if you're developing a young quarterback, your best throws are right in front of you. So, I've always been a big proponent of tight ends, multiple tight ends, because I think with that it's, drive starters, easy completions. There's and there won't be any this week, but I think there's usually some free offense out there that you're looking for when you're in game planning. But both Hunter and Smith have a chance to really stretch the field, and their ability to make plays on the second level. So it's definitely something that you have to be in touch with from a matchup standpoint.
That camaraderie that Clarence was talking about, and guys have talked about kind of special chemistry here. Did you notice that as much last year, or was that harder to notice or establish last year because of?
I really liked the team last year because for as much as we went through, you go through adversity every year, but I was definitely on the high end of it. That I know my personal experience. They never wavered. They hung in there and just kept fighting. All the way through, and I knew I had that. I knew we had those capabilities in the locker room, and I think just with the off season, you could feel the vibe coming together. I thought the work in the off season was expensive for me personally, but it was really good, and the way and you guys, Dave, I don't know if anybody got that, but anyways, I thought that the vibe was really coming together, and I thought our training camp. I think going to Oxnard helps. I can't believe I just said that, but it does help going out there and just the camaraderie, just the environment that you have there, so you can feel the building. But let's be honest, it takes wins for that to really manifest to the level that where it's at now. That's why we're talking about it. But it's a long year. We got a lot of challenges in front of us. We got a big one Sunday. So, but you could definitely feel the vibe building, throughout the off season.
You got Jerry's birthday gift yet? Have you picked it out?
I'm gonna go pick it up right now.